Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, my friends, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Thank you so very much for joining the Life Signatures podcast, which is a daily show where we talk about purpose, productivity, and resilience every working day. Today, we are continuing to explore the idea of the 5 benefits of discouragement. When you go through a discouragement, of course, discouragement is not something that I can wish for you, but it's a fact of life. It happens to all of us at any one point in time. We get discouraged because of things that are happening to us internally, or we get discouraged because of things that are happening to us externally. It's just a fact of life. It just happens to all of us. Human beings, whether we are yellow, white, red, or brown, whatever skin color, whatever culture. Whether we are rich, we have money in the pocket, money in the bank, and we have real estate, and we have wealth, or we don't. It doesn't matter. Discouragement will find us in any address. So what are the 5 benefits that we can be able to garner from this discouragement? We've been looking at them, and let us continue to do that even if we've started winding up this series. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
A very strange scripture is found in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, where it says that God was discouraged. As in, it repented God that he created man. As in, God was saddened by the fact that he created man because of the because of the things that humans were doing. And let me tell you something. It is not even in those days of it's not in our days of transgressing. Okay, transgressing is not some big deal. But it's not in this day and in this age where man is getting married to man, woman is getting married to woman. People are having threesomes. There's a lot of pornography going around. People are voting left, right, and center, and they're calling it a right. They're saying that abortion is creating joy. It was early on. Just early on, I think it was maybe 100 years, I don't know, 200, 400, 500 years after God had created people, it repented him. Maybe not even 100 years. It repented him that he had made man on the face of the earth. He was discouraged. You know what that tells us? It tells us that this enemy, is it an enemy? This guy, this thing called discouragement, doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care who you are. As long as you have a wish, as long as you have a desire, as long as you have a goal, a target, as long as you have a vision, as long as you have direction, as long as there are some things that you want to do, things that you want to become, things that you want to happen, as long as there is just motion and movement and desire in the life of anybody or anything, God or man, discouragement will show up. As long as you're not in absolute full control of everything, discouragement will show up. Now, it's interesting because someone will say, but God is in control of everything. Really, is he? If God was in control of everything, why would someone's daughter be raped, 11-year-old, when God is watching? Anyway, I'm not going to go there. We're talking about discouragement, okay? For as long as there is desire, there is a wish, there is a goal, there is a vision, there is direction. For as long as you're not 100% in control of things, you will be discouraged. You see, that is how life has been designed. So we should learn how to overcome discouragement. And of course, there are different ways in which you can overcome discouragement. I dealt with that in some series some years back. some years back in this episode. But I'm just flipping this to learn. What can we learn? What can we gain from discouragement? Now that it's a fact of life, we cannot exercise it out of life. Now that it normally comes to us, what can we learn from it? Number one, we say that disappointment and discouragement, they introduce you to yourself, your real self. It's an opportunity for you to go deeper and learn who you really are, what you really want, what you really rather in this life. It's an opportunity that only discouragement and negativity and criticism and crisis, these are the things that introduce you to who you really are. Because you are stripped of the amorphous, you're stripped of the frivolous things of life. You think your car is something until discouragement really comes. That car doesn't help you in that discouragement, really. Right, anyway. Really. So the first thing that it does is it introduces you to who you really are. Discouragement. You can use it as a vehicle to understand yourself better. The second thing that it does is that it introduces you to your real friends. We talked about that yesterday. Introduces you to your real friends. Goes without saying. But then number 3, and I've alluded to this before, what discouragement does is that it forces you to do an introspection. We seldom, unless we are highly intentional human beings, we seldom carry out reviews. There's a guy called Jim Rohn. He said that a life not reviewed is not worth living. But we don't review our lives when things are cozy. We don't review our lives when things are happening. The money is flowing. There is cash flow coming in. In fact, even in organizations, you know what we normally do? We do a yearly strategic plan. That's the moment we do an introspection. How about individuals? We're supposed to do these introspective retreats. I think every month, every week, if at all. We are weekly planners. And just get acquainted with ourselves through introspection. But when things are sizzling, when things are happening, when there is motion, things are coming in, there is income, and so on, we're paying our bills, we seldom sit down to introspect. So guess what? Discouragement comes in. And this is one of the most critical moments where we can carry on introspection in our lives. It will inevitably cause you to start talking about yourself, to start taking a closer look at you. You will start to analyze your part in bringing about the fate that you're seeing in your life right now. And obviously, discouragement being a personal thing, it will be an intimate thing for you. It will cause you to start asking important questions about life itself. And there are 2 things that probably you have seldom done in life until such a moment that you are faced with discouragement. That is, number 1, asking the right questions, the pertinent questions about life. And number 2, taking a thorough introspection in life to determine what really matters, what it really means. In the previous series, we talked about life. What's the purpose for living? We seldom ask those questions. So I'm just telling you, the next time you get discouraged, the next time you feel discouraged, guess what? The positive of it is that it gives you the opportunity to ask important questions in life, to do an introspection, to find out about yourself. It's interesting that the propensity to ask such reflective questions, such introspective questions about life is greater during a low moment than during a high moment. It's greater during a moment of discouragement than when all is well and smooth. So if you look at your life, chances are that there were reflective moments that were brought to you because you were discouraged. But the point is, we don't harness these moments. We just sleepwalk through a discouragement. And I'm thinking that we should flip it. When discouragement comes into our lives, we should take this opportunity to really be introspective and be deeper in our lives. That we think about what matters in our lives, and as such, we tend to look at our life and align our priorities at that moment in time. Make decisions to align our priorities. We align our priorities better because of this gift of discouragement that has come. When you're going through a deep moment of discouragement, you realize that I need to prioritize God. I need to prioritize people, especially my family. And I need to prioritize my purpose. Those three things. And I said some time back on this week, when this week began, I said on my social media that clutter is the biggest enemy we have. Clutter is the biggest enemy we have for productivity, focus, and relationships. Clutter. And now, when discouragement comes into your life, it has a way of cleaning up all the clutter. You realize that what you are focusing on that was distracting you is not important. It's not as important as some important things in your life. Discouragement has a way of telling you what is important, what matters. And it helps you to reprioritize your life. That's the point of doing an introspection, actually. Reordering your life and rearranging your life and saying, I'm going to give effort here. You remember the Pareto principle that 20% of the things we do contribute to the 80% of the output that we need. And the problem is, without introspection, we flip the Pareto principle. We spend 80% effort and we get only 20% output on what really matters in life. Now discouragement comes and it helps you to flip it so that you can focus on a minimalist life. There's a time we did a series here on a life of minimalism. You can search it on any channel that you're using on podcasts. Minimalism on Life Signatures Radio. So that's what discouragement does. It forces you to reorder your priorities. Tomorrow we're going to continue, even as we've started winding up. I'm going to continue talking about this, but until then, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.